want to learn the calisthenics strength skills. You want to learn how to master your body weight through the levers. Well, before we get to all that fun stuff in the intro, let's look at a fantastic place to start, especially if you're a beginner. What's up, choombas, and thank you so much for joining me in my third video on my series of Begin Calisthenics. Today, we're going to be covering the skill day. So, a lot of people get into calisthenics because they want to learn the fancy skills, the back lever, the front lever, muscle ups, L-sits, all that fun stuff. So, today, I'm going to show off the best place, in my opinion, where to start, especially if you're just getting into this style of training. So, let's jump into the video. Alright, so before we get right into the warm-up, there are just a couple things I want to cover real quick. So number one is setting a solid foundation in our skills. Much like strength training, for example, before we're going to be squatting, benching, or deadlifting our 1 rep max, it's probably a good idea to get comfortable with that movement, not under that kind of load. So our technique is reinforced. So when we go to do, that 1 rep max or even just a heavier percentage, our muscles and joints are ready, they understand the movement, and they feel good. One thing I will say, in my experience, comparing strength training to calisthenic strength skills, is, let's say in the squat, you can learn the movement relatively quick and comfortably. But even if you get up to the heavier loads, for example, your form can fail, and there's a chance that you're still going to be able to complete the movement, okay? So, for example, you go down in your squat, your quads or something in your leg isn't strong enough, your knee caves in. However, you still have enough force production to stand up. You're just at a greater risk of injury. Nonetheless, you still complete the movement. With calisthenic skills, if one component of the movement is off, like anything, that the skill doesn't work, period. So it's a really good idea to set the foundation really, really strong before you get into the high intensity skills, is what I'm trying to say. The second thing I want to go over is training 1 to maximally 3 skills at a time. After you get the foundation set and you go and you start chasing the back lever, the planche, the front lever, the Maltese, all these skills on top of each other, one, it's just unrealistic that you're going to achieve them all in any given time. So really limiting, or not limiting, I should say putting your focus on 1 to 3 at a time will really help you hone in on them and understand them. And if you can learn, one skill, the things you learn in that skill will apply to the other ones. So, yeah, don't get caught up in being like, oh, I need to learn all these as fast as possible. That's not the point of this. Skills take a very long time to learn, and it's a lifetime of improvement with them. So, getting really, really good at 1 at a time is a fantastic idea. And the third thing I want to go over is more of a misconception when it comes to calisthenics in general, is 1, leg skills aren't even a thing. You guys got all these upper body things, your back levers, your iron crosses, like, you forget about your legs. Well, no. 1, your legs assist in the stability of those movements. You need the flexibility, mobility, and isometric control of your leg muscles to even hold the upper body positions. And 2, leg skills are everywhere in calisthenics. Jumping, plyometrics, flips, those all require leg drive, leg muscles, leg strength. So I often hear, not only in the skills of calisthenics that legs aren't readily available, there is so much you can progress on with leg skills. And to reiterate a point that even leg days are not a thing in calisthenics. This is simply not true. Sure, when it comes to bodybuilding, you might not get those full, juicy oak legs like you would, but you can definitely build athletic, lean-looking legs with calisthenics. You look at guys like Fitness FAQs, Saturno Movement, Tom Merrick, even myself. I have pictures on my Instagram with my legs with relatively nice muscle definition, and all I was training at the time is bodyweight movement. So just wanted to clear that out of the way. It's just, at the end of the day, guys, what we like to do, right? So if you're a bodybuilder, obviously you want to be, under those loads, under that weight. But if you're into calisthenics, you might not like that as much. So just keep in mind that when you hear that calisthenics athletes skip legs, this is simply just a misunderstanding in the fitness community. All right, choombas, let's start this mobility matrix for our skill day. So the first movement in our mobility matrix is going to be a scapula pull-up. So you can do this on rings or a pull-up bar, whichever one you find most comfortable. How it works is you're going to grab onto your pull-up bar or rings just at a shoulder width grip. We're going to go into a dead hang. What our objective here now is to fully elevate and depress the scapula while hanging from that bar. So that looks like so. So we're fully elevated right now. So then we're going to try to depress the scapula and elevate the scapula. And that's it. So depression, elevation, depression, elevation. And you're going for 5 nice and controlled reps, okay? After your 5 controlled scapula pull-ups, we got the internal external rotation reaches with the shoulder. So you're going to stand wherever you have space. We're going to reach as far as we can to the left, as far as we can to the right. And all we're going to do, keeping our spine neutral and our shoulders neutral, is we're going to go into internal rotation all the way down. And then we're going to go into external rotation all the way back. That is 1 rep, both sides. So internal, external, that's 2. And you're going for 10 reps before moving on to the next mobility matrix exercise. All right, now that we got our scapula prepped for the movements, now we're going to be hitting up a very important part of calisthenics training, since we're always, or a lot of the skills require straight arm lockdown and puts a lot of tension on the biceps. It's always a good idea to prime the biceps for the movement. So you're going to need a set of rings or a bar at an angle, whichever one is most comfortable. And we're going to do 10 bodyweight bicep curls. So you're going to stand not at a crazy angle. Again, this is a warm-up, so we don't want to overload it. We just want to get some blood pumping to this specific area. So you stand at a decent angle, decently steep angle, and you're going to try to keep your elbows and shoulders high the entire time and palms facing the sky. Keeping the elbows there, you want to try to curl your face to the rings, keeping tension on the ring strap and coming back down. That is 1. And again, you're going to go for 10 nice and controlled reps, getting a nice squeeze at the top before moving on to the next mobility matrix exercise. All right, and to end our mobility matrix, we have 2 final movements. We got the pike compression. So another big position in calisthenics skills is the pike. Obviously, I need to work on mine, and I've been working on mine for a very long time, so there's always room for improvement. But how this one works, my friends, is we're going to be seated in a pike position. Your goal here, as I'll show you from the side real quick, is you're going to try to lean as forward as you can until you feel quite the pull on the hamstrings. And you got to maintain that position by reaching forward. Once you have that tension on, what you want to do, point the toes forward and try to lift the legs as high as you can, creating a compression in the core. So if you can't get very far, that's fine. Work with what you have capabilities to do. And over time, you'll progressively get further and further down. So from the side, all you got to do, find that compression point, point the toes, press into the ground so you don't slide back. As you bring the toes off the ground, hold for about 1 to 2 seconds at the top, and then come back down. That's 1. And we're doing 5 slow reps, okay? After that, we're going to warm up the top part of our hips and our hamstrings for our leg skill we got today via the Cossack dead shift. So, we're going to stand in a wide stance, quite outside hip width. We're going to hinge at the hip. We're going to shift over to one side, touch the ground. Then we're going to shift, pushing through that leg to the other. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 10 reps. So I'll do that from the side. So we grab our wide stance, hinge at the hip, get that nice pull on the hammies, back nice and straight, Cossack to one side, shift to the other to warm up those adductors and abductors, okay? Alright, choombas, after you've completed all mobility matrix exercises, you are ready to move on to the workout. Okay, choombas, now that we're warmed up and ready to go, we can get started on the meat and potatoes of today's workout. So, there are a total of 5 exercises, and remember what I mentioned at the beginning of setting the foundation? This is where we're going to start, is a ring support. So, I've trained clients and I've seen people that will skip this exercise entirely, but try to go learn the planche instead. So, it's really important to have basic fundamentals on these before moving into, again, the higher intensity stuff. So, if you don't have rings, you can use a set of P-bars or even a counter if you have no equipment, and this is what we're going to do. So, you're going to grab onto your set of rings, and you want enough space when you're fully locked out with the elbow that your feet are off the ground, and if you're like me, your head isn't hitting the ceiling. Your objective here is to hold yourself up on the rings with locked out elbows while trying to bring them together, and I'll tell you why in a sec. So, you can start by jumping or dipping into it. So I'm going to start by slowly pressing up. And that's it. That's the ring support hold. Fully locked out elbows, bringing the rings nice and tight to me. Now, I just said you want to try to push them together into your body. And the reason is, when you're first learning this, you might jump up and look something like this. And that's okay. When you bring the rings together, however, you will create some stability that will allow you not to shake and hold the position comfortably. Okay? So, we're going to go for 2 to 4 sets, depending on your time, skill level, and fatigue. And you're going to try to hold for the maximum amount of time as you can before you move on to the next exercise. Okay, choombas, after we've done our prescribed amount of sets for our ring support, we got the next exercise, which is a tuck L-sit. Now, you can use rings like so, or you can even use P-bars or again a counter, whatever you have access to. So the same thing applies in the tuck L-sit. We're going to be holding a ring support, mind you, but now we're going to add a little bit of an extra movement. Once we get up into our ring support, what your goal is to bring your knees to your chest and learn to lean back just a little bit. And this will get a nice solid foundation set on the full L-sit, eventually, which you'll be able to get to by shortening the lever. So, keeping the elbows locked out, leaning back, and getting the knees as high as you can to the chest to get that core nice and active. Again, you're going to hold for 2 to 4 sets at a maximum hold time before moving on to the next exercise. After our prescribed amount of sets and reps of the tuck L-sit, we're going to need to move the rings a little bit higher as we're going to move on to the third exercise, which is our assisted skin the cat or German hang, whichever you want to call this one. So, the skin the cat is a crucial part of transitioning between skills. So eventually, once you get more advanced, you'll see people start from their one skin the cat position, transitioning into other skills, like so. But to start off, we got to get used to going upside down and rotating. So, to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to set the rings at a height where we can fully roll and not smack our head or feet on the ground once we get through. And that'll make more sense in a sec. So you're going to start by crouching underneath and grabbing onto the rings. You can also do this on a straight bar, but I would encourage you to try it on the rings if you can. And you're going to jump and kick back with one leg at a time, tucking the neck back or looking back, and imagining a lat pull down exercise. So as soon as you jump, you want to try to pull those rings to your hips, and this will help create rotational force. So slowly, this is what all that looks like. So we set our jump position, we jump, look back, tuck the knees, and slowly allow ourselves to rotate until our feet come down. And if that's where you get a little freaked out and you need to stop, you can just let go and reset. However, if you can get fully around, get your feet to the ground, reset, now you can go back the other way, which is tucking your chin to the chest, jumping forward, and pulling yourself kind of in a front raise position from the other way. Now, if all that is all too freaky for you and you don't want to start by jumping around on the rings, that's okay. What I encourage you doing is just getting used to pushing the rings out and getting down in this skin the cat position and using your legs to stand up and get the shoulders used to rotating around like so. Okay? Now, your sets are going to be 2 to 4 sets, and you're going anywhere between 2 and 5 reps with whatever you're most comfortable with before moving on to the next exercise. Okay, choombas, after all our fun ring work, we got the planche leans for the 4th exercise. So you can use a set of parallel bars or even just the ground is comfortable with this specific movement. So if you're using P-bars to set them up, I always like the elbow to fingertip to get the nice perfect shoulder width stance every time. So once we got that set up, our objective here is learning the planche position with assistance from our feet. So our feet are going to be on the ground the entire time via push-up position. So you're going to set up your push-up position, whether that be on the ground or on the P-bars. Your goal here is now to protract the scapula and depress it. So you don't want these shoulders to shrug. You want them to come down as you get into that max protraction. From that point, using your feet, you're just going to slightly lean forward until you start to feel the strain in your anterior front part of your shoulder and the biceps. The stronger you are, the more you'll be able to lean. So when you're beginning, you might only get to here before you feel like your tendons are about to snap. But as you get stronger and stronger, you'll be able to lean quite far over before you feel any of that tension. And your objective for this movement is do 2 to 4 sets for 15 to 20 seconds, all right? So I'll show you once from the front so you can kind of see what's going on from a different angle. So again, we set our shoulder width position, set our push-up position, protract and depress the scapula, and then we're going to lean forward until we feel that strain, and we're going to hold for 15 to 20 seconds. It's important to note when you're on the ground, you can play around with different wrist positions too. So you can be fingers forward, fingers 45, sideways, or even backwards, just depending what wrist mobility you have access to, all right? After we've done the 2 to 4 sets of 15 to 20 seconds, we move on to the final exercise, the leg skill. All right, choombas, and to end the skill day, we're going to do a leg exercise or a leg skill. Now, I'm starting off with quite the intensity here, so if you don't have a box, or even if you're just starting out, don't use a box. Use a stool or a very low stair for this exercise, okay? This exercise is known as the depth drop. So, how it's going to work is you're going to take a step up onto your stool or your stair. You're going to lean over the edge, and what you're going to do is you're just going to set your squat stance before you go. You're going to hover one leg over, then you're going to drop and slowly descend into your squat and stand back up. That is one. Then you get back up and you rinse and repeat. Trying to land and stick the landing. You don't want to slam down. You want to make it a nice controlled descent right from when you hit the ground. Think ninja, okay? And you're going to go for 2 to 4 sets at only 4 to 6 reps. And again, don't start off with the same height as me. If you're a beginner, start off real low and build up your intensity, alright? Alright, my choombas and choombetas. Now that we're all done the workout, let's get a kinetic chain cool down. Stretch out some of those muscles and just relax the body. So, the first cool down exercise starts off with the lean back, pec and shoulder stretch. So you're going to just sit on your bum, place the hands supinated behind you, squeeze the scapula together, and try to push your bum as far away as you comfortably can till you feel a nice pull in the pec, shoulder, and probably a little bit of your bicep. And you're going to hold that for 30 seconds. So I'll show you from the front. Plant the hands, squeeze the scap, push the bum away, and just hang out, okay? After that, we got the crossbody lat and rotator cuff stretch. So this is my left leg. I'm going to grab onto the outside of my left foot with my right arm. Then I'm going to depress the scapula, rotate slightly to the left, and push my left leg out until I feel a pull under my armpit and in the back of my shoulder. And I'm going to hold that for 30 seconds per side. So again, I'll show you the other side. Start tucked, grab the outside of the foot, right leg, left arm, push the right leg out, rotate slightly till you feel that pull, and just a nice passive stretch for 30 seconds per side. After that one, if you need a cushion for your knee, please grab it. We're going to get into the posterior pelvic tilt. So you're going to get into a lunge position, and then you're going to get into a posterior pelvic tilt to complete the PPL, or the posterior pelvic lunge. Once you get into that posterior pelvic lunge, you should start to feel the stretch in the quad. If you don't, you can start to sink your hips a little bit further forward, okay? So I'll show you from the front. We set our lunge position. We tuck the bum under, posteriorly tilting the pelvis, and then sink forward if we need, okay? 30 seconds per side. And then your final one you're going to need a wall for. You're just going to lay in front of it with your butt nice and close, and you're just going to fall as straight as you can out into the wall splits, stretching out the inner thighs, the adductors, and the groin, holding for 30 seconds in total. Or longer if it feels good for your body, alright? Well, choombas, that concludes the skill day. Thank you so much for checking out this video. This series was a bunch of fun for me to make, as this is where I started my fitness journey back when I was 11 or 12 with parkour and free running. My instructors were gymnasts, and they taught me all these strength skills and all this body weight stuff, and that really got me going. And now that I can help others like they did to me, it is such a rewarding feeling. So especially in the most efficient way possible, because my workouts when I was 12 and 13 weren't that efficient. They were all over the place with reps and sets. So now that I'm a personal trainer and can actually get a solid program made, is again very rewarding. So if you have any further questions or comments, let me know in the section down below, or shoot me an email. I'll be happy to discuss anything with you guys. If you're looking for a pre-made calisthenics program, go check out my website at TytheTrainer.ca. I got a pre-made one there, as well as if you're looking for a strength training program with weights, I also got it on there at TytheTrainer.ca under the training programs tab. And just, I got to reiterate, they're free. So free gains, why not, my friends? But yeah, my name is TytheTrainer. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.